like, what did it feel like the first time someone set a boundary with you? So like I can remember getting into this pattern where I started to notice that as there was just more awareness and conversation around mental health and sort of like emotional preservation, that I had people who were previously available to me that were starting to say much more often, I'm sorry you're feeling that way, but I'm not available right now to be able to support you through that. And the first few times I heard them say that to me, like it was a little prickly. Like I felt a little bit like, oh, like you're not here anymore. You're not available anymore. And then I had to sit with those feelings like, how did that make me feel? And why did I feel that way? Because certainly a part of me was applauding them taking care of themselves and knowing what their limitations were and what they could and couldn't be available for. But there was this uncomfortable feeling of up until now, we sort of hadn't had those kinds of, like that arrangement wasn't really in place up until this point in so many of these friendships and relationships. And then I started to ask myself, oh, well, does that mean I'm allowed to say that back to you too? And then I found an interesting situation as other people became better at imposing their boundaries, but I still wasn't very good at asserting my own, that I started to see that many of my friendships and relationships turned into situations where I felt like people were coming for what they needed from me at the time, but then didn't have the capacity to show up in a moment where I might need them back. And so many of my relationships started to feel incredibly extractive and it didn't feel nice. And I thought to myself, I can't fault someone for putting their boundaries in place. However, if I don't have mine in place, then these relationships are no longer in equilibrium. They've become effectually very unequal relationships. And I had to ask myself what benefit I was getting from those.